I have to say something about Erika. So Erika has been in Unity most of your life. And her Sunday school teacher is here. Her YOU leader is here. So she's going to give you some unity. So please help me welcome Erika big time.
Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today. Thank you for asking me to come. So in 1976, Edward Packard created a series of children's game books where each story is written from the second person point of view. The series was called Choose Your Own Adventure. How many of you have heard of these books or read them as kids? Yes, I see hands. Choose Your Own Adventure books were originally created for readers aged 7 to 14. As the protagonist, the reader takes on the role of the relevant adventurer, such as a private investigator, a mountain climber, a race car driver, a doctor, or a spy. The reader makes choices that determine the main character's actions, story progression, and the plot outcome. These children's series were most popular during the 80s and the 90s, selling more than 250 million copies between 1978 and 1989. The number of endings varied from as many as 44 different endings to 7 different endings. As a kiddo, I personally felt a sense of curiosity, excitement, bravery, and power in being able to make each decision. When we were children, uncertainty was our playground. Every decision sparked our imagination, opening up a world of endless possibilities. But somewhere along the way to adulthood, that thrill turned into discomfort. Unpredictability stopped being an adventure and started feeling more like a threat. At times, there are experiences in life that feel so heavy, it feels like we have no choice. Can any of you relate to that? Yeah. To give you a little context about my spiritual journey, when I was 11 years old, my family walked into their first Unity church. 4 years prior to that, I actually had been a sickly child and finally got a diagnosis of cystic fibrosis. It's a progressive genetic disease. At that time, the life expectancy that my parents were told was 12 years old. I was diagnosed at 7. I was standing on the doorstep of what the medical world told me would be my expiration date. But attending Unity, I discovered Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder, and her Unity healing journey of healing herself from chronic tuberculosis. I anchored myself in her prayer and her affirmation. I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. I deeply immersed myself at a young age in truth principles, prayer, and meditation. And as a result, through my teens and my 20s, my health didn't just defy the odds. I thrived. And I lived a very full life of all in the flow that was good. But throughout my 30s, it was a different story. I had stepped away from Unity, and under the weight of heavy responsibility, fear of judgment, I traded my divine imagination for pure survival mode, just trying to get through things. I focused so much on being practical, all the adult things that we're told to do: go to school, get your education, find a good job, work, save your money, buy a house, all that stuff, that I completely became blind to the possibilities. And the life that I formatted got increasingly heavy. It felt like life was happening to me. Can anybody relate to that? Yes. It was marked with frequent hospitalizations for my cystic fibrosis, chronic sickness, dead-end jobs I was unhappy in, broken relationships. I kissed a lot of frogs in that time. I even married one. And the foundation of that experience was lack consciousness. I had stepped completely away from the truth principles and the practice that once sustained me. And quite simply, I put it that I developed spiritual amnesia. I forgot the truth of who I was. I forgot the power of my words. After a period of about 10 years, I personally was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I had a personal reckoning right before I turned 40 years old. I looked at my life and reminded myself a profound truth: that struggling is optional. That was a choice I made. I chose to struggle. I woke up from that spiritual amnesia and remembered my divinity, remembering the undeniable power of truth principles, prayer, and meditation. As a powerful reflection of God, it was time for me to stop letting life happen to me. And it was time to restart my spiritual journey. I rejoined a unity community. I began to take classes and read and deepen my faith. I became an active creator in my life and not just a bystander walking through it. I stepped into my power and I started to choose my adventures. Paraphrasing a quote from Mysteries of Genesis, written by Charles Fillmore, the other co-founder of Unity, the imagining faculty or imagination gives man the ability to project himself through time and space and thus rise above limitations. I'm going to say that last part again. Actually, I will read the whole thing again. The imagining faculty and imagination gives man the ability to project him or herself through time and space and thus rise above limitation. That's what I did. I made that choice that enough was enough. And when I look back now, I am filled with absolute gratitude for the choices that I made before, because I learned a whole bunch, and the choices that I made after I began to intentionally live. Those choices allowed me to rise above real and perceived limitations. By affirming my relationship with God and standing in the truth of my divine nature, I've built a reality more magnificent than I could even imagine. The medical world gave me until 12, but I haven't seen the inside of a hospital in 8 years. Thank you. And this Thursday, I will be celebrating 52 years of life defying all of the odds. And not just defying all the odds, but living in the flow of all that is good and intentionally choosing my own adventure. So as you navigate through your own moments of uncertainty or stand at the crossroads wondering how to choose your next adventure, I want to offer you these 2 practices. Number 1 is be intentional. Using our imagination is never about wishing or hoping. It is a deliberate, active formatting of our minds. Through practices of meditation and prayer, affirmations, and sometimes just being in the silence, we intentionally choose our mental structure. Our mental structure in that moment, our mental structure before the decision, our mental structure after the decision. When we step away from the noise and enter into the stillness, we reclaim our power and we strengthen our connection with God. Using our imagination, we remember our divinity. We're never separate from God, never. And my second item is pivot. When you catch yourself feeling like you have no choice, or the discomfort of adulthood, unpredictability, creeping in, if you feel that, just pause. Pause. Take that deep breath and acknowledge and release the perceived struggle. Because remember, struggling is optional. And invoke that power and that presence of God within. It's never separate. Reassure yourself, I am fully empowered to make choices that honor my highest and best good. I'll repeat that. I am fully empowered to make choices that honor my highest and best good. Divine imagination and the freedom of choice are sacred gifts that allow us to shape our reality. We know that at any moment, if we center within, our decisions, our words, our actions can change our whole experience. So you no longer have to struggle or live to struggle or survive life. You get to format it. You get to intentionally format the life. You get to intentionally format your thoughts. So I challenge you to make today the day that you step into your power and that you choose your own adventure. Thank you.